Can I wait? Can I just tell this thing to fuck off? Why does it do that?
Hey,
Hey, did it work? Are we good?
little stretch, but yeah, hey.
Okay, hold on. I'm on this. Boom. There he
Yeah, there we go.
is. Yeah, he's a real guy. All right.
Beautiful.
Okay, so can you guys hear Forge pretty well? Can you guys hear the music okay? I don't want to overdo it too much. Forge, a little volume check maybe?
Yeah, this is me talking and doing a volume check for
Pretty
all of
good for
you
me. I'm
lovely
going to
people.
turn my tunes down just a skosh.
Thanks, Enigma.
Okay, let's try that. He's a little quiet now? Okay, let's do it. Boom. How's that grab you? Test run?
Hello, this is another test.
Ooh.
Yeah, I am
Ooh.
testing my audio here for you lovely people. Another test?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Well, this is fun. How you doing, Forge?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, man. Thank you for doing this. This is kind of a silly idea I had, and I'm glad that you kind of stood up and said, "Let's do this," because I know there's no pressure for either of us in this circumstance. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
No one's.
And I think it's awesome that you're doing this.
We'll see how it works. We'll see. So hypothetically, we get some big cats in here. Obviously you got like I said, mentioned the duck Bavises. The left. You some
Mm.
maybe even in a crazy scenario, a Cinnamonique or something, someone that has nothing
Ooh,
to do with my dumbass, that would completely
yeah.
ignore me. All I want to do is get to know some people. Oh shit! I forgot. You got the jacket. Give me a second.
It's going wonderful so far.
Fucking Debray.
I must
Okay.
say, you learning how to tie a tie on stream, you learning how to tie a tie was fantastic quality content.
I do appreciate that. That was I needed to do that too. I feel like now that I just fucked it up 3 or 4 times, I'm gonna be good from here on out. I don't have to
No,
bother
yeah, for
anymore.
sure. So my thing with tying a tie is that I give myself 3 attempts. If I don't get it in 3 attempts, then I go to the YouTube videos. Today,
That's a good
got it in
technique.
one. It was perfect.
First attempt. That thing's looking pretty fresh too.
Yeah.
Can you guys see that
Thank you.
tie?
Thank
That thing
you.
is wild. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's from all the way from South Africa here.
Okay,
Otherwise, the like animal cutting.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually in my list of shit to ask you questions about. So, what's up with South
Yeah.
Africa?
It's where my parents are from.
Your
So that's why. Yeah, I've got a bunch of South African stuff all over the place.
So yeah, so I remember one time you said that your mom had taught you a bunch of South African words. Is that what I remember hearing?
I can say only two phrases in Afrikaans. I can say "My naam is Daniel," which means my name is Daniel, and I can say "Ek is
Okay.
wit," which means I'm white. It's the two things I was taught.
That is some important shit if we're talking about South Africa. That is a good, yeah. Those are the two things you need to know the most.
It's the only two phrases that get me through.
Oh, shit. That's funny. I hadn't planned to get to that South Africa thing. I mean, Jesus, that's like 14th on the list here, man. No, but that is wild. Because I remember I was talking to Maggie one time and we were like, does he have an accent? We were curious if it was in fact an accent that you were speaking with. So
Yeah,
you weren't born in
yeah. I
South
was, I was
Africa,
gonna
right?
say no. Yeah, I was born here in basically Los Angeles, and I've lived here
Okay.
my entire life. But just growing up, listening to my parents, also listening to like South African and British like TV shows, audiobooks,
Right.
even, and just that influence really affected my voice. When I was younger, I had such a South African accent, but I
Really?
feel like as I've grown up, the Californian has creeped in, and it's kind of a mutt right now. But yeah, it is what it is.
No, it is a cool sound. That's wild. But like Maggie said, she said that she thought it sounded like you were raised by parents who have accents. So is that
Yes,
true? That's true
that's
for both your parents
exactly.
then, your mom and your dad?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they live basically their entire lives in South Africa. They came here in '95, I think.
And where in South Africa are they from? I feel like that's a little relevant to the.
Sure. So I believe they both met in Johannesburg,
Okay.
and they lived there for a while. My father was originally from Zimbabwe, actually would have
Whoa.
been Rhodesia way back in like the 50s. And then my mother is from East London in South Africa, which is
Wow. That's wild.
down on the East Coast.
Very cool. Wow. And so then how'd they end up in California?
Yeah. So my father, for work, he originally was a draftsman for the South African Railroad, and then eventually they were saying, "Hey, as it's like the '80s, computers are becoming a thing. Hey, do you want to learn
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
program computers?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." And so he got into programming, and he learned a language SAP, which is a bunch of database stuff. And this was back in like the early '90s, I feel like.
Okay.
And over here in the States, that was like the new emergent technology. And my dad had experience with it. So he managed to emigrate over here.
Wow. That's very cool. So then is that kind of where you learned some of that?
Yeah, the programming and all of that.
Yeah.
A bit from my father, and then in high school, I really took to it. I took an engineering
Right.
course in my senior year, and that really opened my eyes to a lot of things
Right.
that I
So
enjoyed.
you had said, what was it again? You said you were a what kind of an engineer? A
So
is
I
it
I qualify myself as electrical engineering adjacent. I
okay?
don't
Okay.
design electrical engineering systems, but a lot of my day is spent just looking over electrical engineering diagrams,
Right.
running
Okay.
calculations on it to make sure that systems are safe that people have built.
Right. Okay. That's crazy. So so I'm assuming then you work a full 40 hours a week. You got a
Yeah,
full. Yeah.
yeah. I work 80 over 9, so it's 4 days a week and then 5 days the next week.
Right. Okay. Okay. Because I was gonna say I find you in these streams a lot. You're around all the damn time. I was like, so do you work from home?
No, so I go
No.
into the office. It's like 5 minutes away.
Oh, that's convenient.
Honestly, sometimes I just have my phone open with a chat guest stream open, and I'm random plugging without even seeing what the location is. I'm just happy to be there, you know?
You're hoping the one day to get the 5K, right? That's
Oh, absolutely.
is that the end goal of the random blog?
I mean, if I 5K, that's got to be it. You know, you have to retire immediately
What else
following
is there
that.
to
That is the
accomplish?
pinnacle. Exactly, dude. It's all there is.
I like how chat says that is electric. That is quite electric of you, Forge. I agree.
Thank you, thank you.
All right.
No,
Well,
I'm really lucky to
yeah,
have
no,
found that field.
absolutely. Yeah, and to get brought into it so early as well. That's nice to
Yeah,
have.
for
So,
sure.
did your dad teach you anything about that at all, or just kind of you were, all right, cool, dad, and then kind of came to you later?
I mean, growing up, I think that he kind of had a lot of different hobbies that he wanted me to get involved with. So part of that was like he did a lot of woodworking that he tried to get me involved
Of
with.
course. Yeah.
He did a lot of minor electronic stuff, and so I was always around kind of the design and
You ever
engineering aspects.
you ever build a ham
Yeah.
radio? Do one of those?
I've never built a ham radio. I would love to. Uh, I would. There's a lot of like electronics that I would love to build. I've just
Yeah.
never found the time to sit down and actually do it.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I had a kit when I was a kid, and my dad. I think my dad got it for me. I got it for Christmas from somebody. I must have been like 8 or something. Had this ham radio kit. I have no fucking idea how this thing works, and my dad is blind. My dad
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, well, he was a very blind person. He was extremely blind. He had
Okay.
what's called Stargardt's disease, which is kind of
Never heard of it.
the opposite of tunnel vision. So it's like rather than tunnel
Okay.
vision where you have no peripheral vision, it's like in this you had no
Hmm.
center. So if he's looking at you this way. Like this is how he talks to you, by he sees you here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And so my guy, he couldn't, yeah, blind as shit, Dr. Poison, yeah. He would drive around. He was a psycho, that guy. And so I think it was him who got it for me. Someone got it for me. And when we finally, said, you know what, it's time to sit down and figure this thing out. We got the soldering iron, all that shit, whatever you got to grab. And
Hmm.
the instructions were this dense grid of like what you got to solder and what you don't have to. And he's like, dude, we're not doing
Hmm.
this. It's like, I can't read. You don't know what you're doing. You're 8. And we never put one together. So I think fondly
Oh,
back on the ham radio because it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, but still nice to spend some time with your dad. Probably looking over it and
As if
deciding,
you're
nah, this
confused
isn't
and be
for
like,
us.
this is not working. Yeah, yeah. So what's the deal with your alcohol setup here, Forge?
Yeah, it's a bar that I have in my house here, and
Hmm.
it's a nice background. I thought it's much better than my kind of chair that I'm leaned over. If you've ever seen one of my streams
Your
before, that I'm
usual
just kind
stream
of
background. Yeah.
yeah hunched over with a awful looking background behind me.
Well, it does look very nice. It's very pleasant for sure.
Thank you.
Are those crystal? You have some crystal glasses back there?
Yeah, they probably should be over there on the left side, and then all of the stuff above is very nice
Yeah, thank you, Fixie. Don't
glassware.
forget, guys, if you don't follow Forge, please give Forge a follow. He's here. He's hanging out. He had the balls to step in front of this, not know where this is going to go. So please give the guy a follow. Absolutely. Good idea, Figs. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So, what did I have? I was going to, all right, here was one thing. This is how I was originally going to start this off before you brought up South Africa was
Okay.
the hair. How long have you been growing that hair out, man?
I have grown my hair out. I cut it once in 2019. So since 2019, I haven't had a serious haircut. I've like trimmed it a bit just to like keep the ends nice and tidy. Probably
Yeah.
should do that right now.
Yeah.
And then before that, it would have been 2015. I started to grow out my hair. Uh, yeah.
And how old are you?
I am 25, so I
Oh,
started
okay,
to grow it out to
so
my senior year of high
your
school.
adult life, you've essentially had the long hair.
Yeah, except for
Nice.
that one period in 2019 where I went short and decided,
Okay.
hey, I look terrible with short hair,
Not for
actually.
you. Yeah, yeah.
Let's
No,
go for
it's
long
got a very
hair.
epic look about it for sure.
Thank you. Thank you very
No,
much.
no problem, man. Absolutely. Okay. So then I kind of already covered this. You say you've lived in Los Angeles your whole life, huh?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, the single city that I've been in, it's here in the South Bay. I don't mind giving that away. But yeah, this is what I've called home for my entire life.
Very cool.
I
That's
love it
very
here.
cool. I've always wanted to. I grew up really into skateboarding, and when I
Okay.
was a kid, I lived in Tennessee, and
Hmm.
I didn't live too far from Nashville. I lived close enough where you could go. There's a big skate scene or whatever. But I remember
Hmm.
as a kid, I'd be skateboarding, and I remember thinking like, this sucks. Like I want to be in California, man. I want to be in Los Angeles. That's where all the cool skateboarders are. That's where all the stuff happens. You watch a
There's
Disney
a
movie.
huge, yeah.
It's yeah, you got Venice Beach out there and everything. The
Hmm.
basically the skate park. What's up, Toro? Good to see you. It's nice to
Yeah,
see
for
you, brother.
sure. It's also like Santa Monica. There's a huge presence of skaters out there. I never really got into skating too much. The extent of my experience was Tony Hawk Pro Skater on
Oh,
the N64. Played that
oh my
like
God.
nonstop.
So that would have been the first one then. Like not even Tony Hawk Pro Skater
Yeah,
2.
I think so. I think I had the first one. It had like a blue cartridge, if I remember correctly,
Okay,
which
yeah,
was
it
super
sounds
unique
right.
for the N64.
That sounds right to me. That is a goat game indeed. Yeah, man, that's epic.
Oh, for
I got
sure.
really into those games too. I remember in I would have been 13 or something. I used to play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 on my PlayStation 2 all
Hmm.
the time,
Hmm.
and got really into it. It was an early online game, right? You could play online against other people. I got really into it. I learned all these crazy routes where you could just go back and forth. So you'd have a 2 minute
Hmm.
timer, but you could just skate back and forth until you land your trick, right?
No,
And
yeah, for
so
sure.
you could go for like 10 minutes hypothetically and just keep building up points if you didn't fuck it up.
Hmm.
And so then
Yeah,
there
I
was a
remember.
go ahead,
Go
go ahead.
ahead. No, I was gonna say I remember there was the trick where you could like nose grind, and that would just keep your score
Yeah,
going
so
until
you
you
could do
reach
the
somewhere else.
manual, right? So you could do a manual and then
Yeah,
jump on stuff,
there
and
you
then
go.
you would go up a quarter pipe and then revert on your way back down to go into a manual again to get on a rail. So you do
Hmm.
this back and forth in these certain places, and you just get a shitload of points. And I went to a tournament. It was a tournament, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4.
Okay,
And
okay.
I was shitting and pissing. I was so scared to do this thing. And and I get there, and they didn't let you make a custom character. You had to go with like the preset characters that all had the shitty
Hmm.
stats. And I was shitting and farting and pissing and puking. I was like so scared. I was looking around. I was
How
like, these
old would
guys
you
are
have
gonna.
been?
Oh, 13?
13.
13.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're like a child.
I'm
You're
so scared.
younger
Yeah, I'd
Tap.
never done anything like this before, And And so I go in there, I see some of these guys, one guy gets like 1,000,000 points. I'm laughing. My high score is like 2 billion points. You know what I mean? This is going to be nothing, you know? But I'm still like, oh, they gave me this shitty character. I'm all worried about it. And then finally my turn goes. I think I went for like 15 minutes. So you get a 2-minute round. I went for like
Yo!
15 minutes without, everybody else is mad at me. I got like 80
Yeah,
million
no, I
points.
imagine.
I won the
Spending
tournament.
15 minutes on your 2-minute round.
Second place guy had like 800,000. I had like 45, 50 fucking million. It was hilarious.
How old were the other competitors in that? Were they your age, or were they like you're going up against
I
like
think there
high
were some guys
schoolers,
that were
like
older than
college
me.
kids?
I think there were some older people there. There might have been a
Okay.
couple of people my age, but it was pretty funny. It was a good time.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's what I think of when I think of Los Angeles is shitting and pissing and farting.
It's a fair assessment of certain parts of LA for sure.
So is it true there? But just because I've never been to California. I think I went a couple times when I was young. Is it true about Los Angeles where you just walk? There is just feces around? Is this a thing?
I mean, you can definitely find that if you're going to the right areas. Like if you're going to like downtown LA, like absolutely, there are Skid Row with all the homeless encampments and all that.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely, you're gonna find that. In my area, luckily, I'm a bit closer to the beach. We don't have as many homeless encampments.
Right.
It's mostly suburbs that I'm in over here.
Right. I've never been in a place that is like that. I guess maybe Vancouver to some degree, but I remember watching what those guys called? I Did a Thing. They had a video almost specifically about that. So that's why I was curious if they were embellishing or if it was just if it actually is as common as they represent. But they probably went to that part of town. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. You're looking in a very specific area if you're looking for that.
Of course.
And
So
I'm not going over there anytime soon.
I understand. So to move away then from the shitting and pissing and farting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Forge, you when did you start streaming? What year did you start streaming?
I must have started streaming either in 2017 or 2018. And
Okay.
originally, it must have been 2018. Originally, I streamed because I owned a small tabletop role playing game Discord server. We had like 2 games going on, maybe like 10 different people. And they were like, hey, Forge, you should stream. Hey, you should stream. Like, sure, yeah. And I originally started by streaming Cookie Clicker, which is a terrible game to stream. Nobody should ever stream that game.
What is it called again?
Cookie Clicker, which is just an idle where you click cookies and you talk, basically, as far as my stream goes.
Yeah.
You know, one of those idle games where you just collect in a bunch of cookies and like incrementally upgrading your setup and all that.
I think that's what I do with GeoGuessr. I just click maps and then just talk. I don't do anything.
But GeoGuessr, at least the chat can be engaged with that. With Cookie Clicker, there's really no incentive for anybody to watch. It's just me talking. And then
did you have any success? Did you have any success at all? Like, I mean, it's even just 5-10 average viewers. Did you have a squad?
No, back then it was like if I had 2 average viewers, that was lucky because I'm not one of them. I've got somebody else watching my stream. But then later on, I transferred that into just being a variety streamer, doing a bunch of things. And one of the games in my rotation was GeoGuessr, and this was back in 2018 or 2019, probably at this point in time.
Yeah.
And the Geo scene, so there wasn't competitive mode. That's when I think a majority of the people that we see now kind of come in around late 2020, early 2021.
I can see that. Yeah.
With competitive mode, so there wasn't any of that. So the people who were there were just kind of doing it for the love of the game. It was mind blowing if you could get 10 countries correct in a row. That was like the pinnacle of you're a god.
For sure. For sure.
And so I did that for a while, and it was always my most successful game. And eventually I met Eroticals, which is also, he's known as QED NRD nowadays.
Okay.
And he was also a Geo streamer. And so we got talking, and in, I think, early 2020 or late 2019, we started to do weekly co-op races, which is co-op GeoGuessr, one person on camera, one person driving. And we would get a bunch of people from the Geo community, maybe like 6-7 teams set up. and they would all play co-op GeoGuessr on the same map and basically race. I think myself and Eroticals always came in last place, every single time. But that was fine
Do you
because
remember anybody else back then from the community that is still around?
uh
Anybody?
gosh, back then, I mean, like Simi would have been like the main guy that I would have known. I think he's like the most prevalent that's still around. Rumi must have been around back then,
Okay.
as well as people like Chicago. Obviously, was around for a while.
Okay.
Um,
Who remembers Granis? Does Granis ring a bell?
Granis does ring a bell. Is that I have the mental image of a flamingo for some reason with Granis. Does that sound accurate?
What maps in 2018? I would assume ADW, right?
Yeah, ADW was the main map, and then every other map. It was interesting because back then USA was very much frowned upon because everybody was like USA, it all looks the same, and I'm like, well,
Right.
Europe all looks the same, you know? It's the same thing with Europe, and then like you to get like Indonesia or some other country that isn't like a main English speaking country was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what do you? Why is this in your map, dude? You got to put this out of your map. It's an impossible location over there.
Right, right. So it's interesting to see how far it's changed, how much it's grown over the past few years. Really has been
Oh, for
great
sure.
because I know too. The reason I wanted to ask you about that is because I know we've jostled it around a little because I started streaming in 2020 around June, July.
Mhm.
I streamed on my PS4.
Mhm.
I was playing The Last of Us. I played some of the Long
Okay.
Dark. I did a little bit of the Long Dark, but I did The
Yeah.
Last of Us 2 came out, and so I played that when that
Mhm.
came out. Played the whole thing on stream. Nobody
Nice.
watched. I got 3
No,
followers or something. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like it was awful.
Yeah.
And then, but that was the same year that COVID hit. Well, in Canada, they gave us a bunch of
Mhm.
free money, and then, so I got all this free money. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, what do I do with it? I had a laptop, but I didn't have a PC, like an actual
No,
game
yeah.
PC. I had Dr. Poison breathing down my neck. You got to get a PC. You got to get a PC. So I was like, you know what? If I got a PC, I could stream. That could be fun. And so I picked it up, and I got my PC, and GeoGuessr must have been in the top 5 games that I've ever played at the beginning, because
Oh, yeah, for
I
sure.
didn't have a lot of. I had 10 games in my Steam library or something. You know what I mean? Didn't have much,
No, yeah.
but something popped in my head. I think my roommate and I had been playing some Geo during the lockdown, which I guess is where people like Rainbolt came up and stuff too. Was right around that time,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And so
Would have
my
been around
roommate and I
then.
started just playing as fucking we're sitting there, nothing to do. So we started playing Geo. So he had gone back to work. So he would work for, a month at a time. So he'd be out of town. And so I was like, I'll just stream, play this game, and just chat. If anybody wants to come in, cool. But I almost never streamed in the GeoGuessr category. I did occasionally,
Oh,
but almost never.
what category were you in?
Just chatting, because I was just hanging out. It was like all
Yeah.
about
Okay.
I was
Okay.
just playing some music and like hanging out with people. I didn't look at it as a thing where like, hey, if you guys know what this is, cool. Like, these days they have parameters.
No.
You
Yeah.
can't guess in chat, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it wasn't really like that. There was no vibe like that back then. And I remember there were a couple of people, Mars Matrix in particular. I brought up a bunch of times because Mars used to come on my stream all the time, and he would hang out for the
Mhm.
music streams I would do. But he would also hang out and come in, and he'd be like, "You're in Thailand," and I'd be like, "Thailand."
Mhm.
It's like, you're in Thailand. I go Thailand, and I'm sure enough. How the fuck
Nope.
did this guy know it's in Thailand? And so I did that for whatever. I think I streamed for almost 40 hours a week
Mhm.
for 6-8 months. I lost my fucking
Insane.
mind. I was pissed. I hated it. By the end, I was
Mhm.
so fucking angry. I tried everything that I thought would get people to come to my stream, and none of it worked except for Geo.
Mhm.
And my dumbass
Yeah.
didn't even think to go in the category of the only game that was actually bringing people to my stream. You know what I mean?
No, yeah,
So,
for sure. The exact same story here. Every other game, it's like you're averaging maybe like 7 viewers on a good day, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
GeoGuessr, it's like, oh yeah, here's just 30 people for you to
yeah.
entertain. It's like,
Even
okay, I guess
14 or
I
something.
guess
You're
that's
like,
what you gotta do.
whoa, man.
No,
It's
yeah, for
insane.
sure.
I got a raid though. I got one raid in those
Mhm.
6 or 8 months. I got one raid. I mean, I might have gotten 1 or 2 from Dr. Poison, but I got one from this guy who had like 30 or 40 people. And I remember there's a clip of it still. If you guys, I don't know if you guys can find. I don't know if it's public. I hope it's not because it's super embarrassing. But there's a clip on my channel of me like losing my mind because here I am streaming for 6 months with 4 viewers, and then all of a sudden, I get a raid. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
ah, ah.
No, exact same story here. I was streaming Sonic Adventure 2. For some reason, I was streaming the Chow Garden. I had like 4 viewers, so it's a good day.
Of course.
As I'm talking and playing in this Chow Garden for Sonic Adventure 2. And I got a raid. This person must have had 250 people
Oh my
in
God.
their stream, and they just like, hey, somebody else is playing Sonic Adventure 2. Let's raid into them.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
like highlights of my year happened right there. No, and I like a fool, I ended stream like probably like 30 minutes later. I still had like 150 viewers. I was like, man, I'm really tired. I'm just gonna end stream. It's like, no, I should have just like kept going and
Yeah, that was my problem. If like, it's so funny because I would find myself with 4 or 5 viewers all night, and then all of a sudden,
Mhm.
I got to get off in a half hour, and now I'm at
Yep.
9. I'm like, oh my God, there's 9 people. I'm not getting off. I'm not getting. There's no
Yeah.
way I'm leaving, man. This is huge.
Extremely relatable. Extremely relatable.
So, so what did you think of the World Cup, Forge? Were you happy with that?
I, Incredible. I went in with basically no expectations. I was expecting it to just be like pretty much just a clusterfuck of
Mm-hmm.
an event here going on. I was expecting there to be tons of technical issues, and I definitely wasn't expecting there to be like, I think it was 75,000 concurrent viewers
Something along those
for the
lines.
final
Yeah.
match. I would have thought like maybe okay, yeah, like a few thousand, and that's going to be good for the
Maybe
community.
20.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Blown away by that happened, and the matches. I to watch GeoGuessr for what it was like 10 hours on the streams or whatever. Those
Yeah.
matches kept me like engrossed. I was
Yeah.
involved. I was sticking through it the entire way. I think I woke up at 3 a.m. Pacific
Yeah.
time for that Friday stream. I know that you were still live for it.
I don't know if I was alive though. I was technically live. I don't think I was very here. I went back and I watched that fucking VOD. I was so embarrassed. My God, how many beers did I drink that night? Jesus. Sitting there trying to make fun of Rainbow because he couldn't commentate. His and then I'm listening to myself. I'm like, this guy doesn't know he can't enunciate this guy. He doesn't know how to enunciate his words. This guy was his problem. It was really funny. But yeah, I thought it was a great event. I was very impressed with the way that the whole thing went down. I don't know. It seems like I don't know how anybody else in chat feels. I don't know how you feel, Forge, but at least in me, I very passively had a reinvigoration of how much I am
Absolutely.
interested in the game and how much I
Hmm.
appreciate the game. I think in some weird way, I did not anticipate feeling that way because I think I definitely thought that it was going to be a disaster.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I thought the
And
event would be fucked up.
yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people were expecting it to not go as smoothly as it did, to not be as incredible as it did. Even the technical issues that they had, I don't feel like any of them were like major blunders or anything either. Like there were a couple things where it's like, some guesses didn't go through, but like
Mm-hmm.
they just marched through, and there wasn't like really any comments or like meow meow meow. Like people are arguing
Yeah.
like over results or anything like that. It all felt incredible. There were a lot of people that were involved with it, even just like the competitors that I really didn't know at all, and it was really
Mm-hmm.
cool to see those people in the community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of my least favorite things is putting a face to the name. Because
Mhm.
now I gotta be like, fuck, this Debray guy's a real person. God damn it, I was
Yeah.
having fun making fun of this dude just for no stupid, this is from a dumb map, and now I feel bad because I'm like, it's a real guy. I can't just cheese on these people anymore. I gotta treat them like a real people. I'm just kidding. Um,
I don't know if you see the Debray highlights. Yeah, I kind of feel like you might be able to still get away with it.
he'd
He's
probably
got
appreciate
one
where
of
I'm
those
coming from.
faces.
Yeah, no, I
Just
think
staring down the camera.
I'm still gonna cheese on him. Yes, I'm still gonna cheese on him. But it's a different thing now. I know in a way that I didn't know before. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
that
for
is what was
sure.
cool about it, and that was was surprisingly impressive about the whole thing overall.
Mhm.
Was just coming out the other end and being like, dang, I feel like playing some GeoGuessr. You know,
Oh yeah,
in a way where,
absolutely.
as a person who streams all the time, maybe as a person who random plonks all the time, like fuck,
Mhm.
sometimes I want to go do some other shit. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm in the mood. Sometimes I take a night off stream because I'm like, I just don't want to look at this dumb game. But after watching the World Cup, in a weird way, it feels a little bit more gassed up. It feels a little bit more exciting
Yeah.
again. And that's good. It's fun.
No, yeah. One of my friends, Radox, who I feel like has been in the community for such a long time. Like, even when I came in, he was an old timer. So he must have joined the community probably back in like 2014, 2015. And
That's insane.
he was the World Cup because he took like kind of a break after 2021, which was like a passive interest in GeoGuessr at that point. And then finally, this has gotten him to be like, hey, maybe I should actually revisit this and kind of get good again. And
Yeah.
so I've been doing a bunch of team duels with him, which I've never done in the past. This is my first time actually
So wait,
doing
are you
any of
practicing?
the competitive. I kind of, but like, listen, okay,
Whoa, huge.
listen.
You heard it here
With
first.
Radox, when I'm doing team duels with Radox, I get like maybe 1 out of 10 closer plunks than he does. So he is really blown out of the water compared to me.
But you're learning
There, I'm
stuff
just along for the ride.
without question,
No,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't name an example of a thing I've learned, so maybe I'm not learning too much. But no, yeah, I feel like it's got to be sinking in, right?
Here's the thing though. Here's an interesting thing about this game that I guess probably most players struggle with to this day. For me, it took a long time for me to acknowledge things like, oh, this pole is going to look this way, that bollard is going to be here, this
Mm-hmm.
generation of camera, especially. I still am
Oh yeah,
awful
for
at
sure.
that type of shit. Is something that it has taken me a long time to like. I've been playing the fucking game forever, but I spent so much time without acknowledging most of these things. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what am I trying to say here? Um, so
Getting into it,
what
yeah.
it came down to is basically like accidental pattern recognition. It all is pattern recognition, but
Mm-hmm.
generally
Yeah.
it's a more conscious way to look at it. You know, you're looking for bollards, you're looking for where the sun is, all this type of shit. But I feel like in the early days when I just didn't care or didn't know that much
Mm-hmm.
about it, I was picking up on stuff and I'd be like, oh, well, the way that the contrast is in this picture is got to
Mm-hmm.
be South Africa because it's like one of the only places that look like this. It has nothing to do
Mm-hmm.
with the landscape. And it's just like the quality of the photograph has got to be South Africa. You know what I mean? In this weird
No,
way. And
yeah,
so I think that
vibes guesser, man.
even if you're not actually trying to learn, you can still just pick it up by
Oh, absolutely.
just by playing.
That that's my feeling also with like chat guesser streams. Like even if you're just like plunking in a stream, you might not be like the one in control of the geoguesser, but I mean, still, it's a great way to learn.
Yeah.
I feel like the game, and I've heard that from a lot of people as well.
Yeah, you're subconsciously learning the game. You know what I mean? In a
Yeah, for
weird
sure.
way. Yeah. All right, what do we got here? Okay, I got South Africa on here. What do we got? You got anything else? No diamond mines, I assume, right? Just
No, nothing that exciting.
railroads and
Yeah, I've got a lot of family there. I visited back in 2015.
okay.
That was the first time, maybe 2016, because I would have been 18 back then. So that was the first time, I guess, as an adult, I visited. If you
Yeah.
can qualify 18 as an
So is
adult.
that Pretoria?
No, I would have visited Joburg and then also East London back then.
Okay,
We spent a month after I got out of high school, before I
that's
went off to
crazy.
university. Yeah,
That's
it's interesting to see. It's very different from America. We've seen geoguessr cameras in South Africa, uh, and yeah, I've also got a lot of family out there, so it was nice to kind of meet them. A lot of them for the first time.
Do you like it down there?
Well, not really. No, I can't say it any nicer way. No, I would rather not visit there
Now, okay,
again.
with some suspension
Yeah.
of how do you say suspension of reason or whatever. Obviously, as a person
Sure.
who grows up in a place like America, you have a very
Hmm.
specific lifestyle pattern. You know what I mean?
No,
Very
yeah, for
specific.
sure.
So then, if you go to a split, if you ignore that, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like a lot of travelers have to do. You know, you get used to the
Hmm.
way that things work in a lot of different countries. Would you then maybe like South Africa, or are you just
The issue with South Africa is, crime is so high that I never feel safe when I'm out
right?
there. I've
That would be
always
my concern.
always got my thumbs in my pockets. I've got horror stories from like family. My aunt Joan, she was stopped at a traffic light, had some thieves run up to her car, bang on her window, and actually pulled like a necklace off of her neck.
Jesus Christ.
Just yanked it off. No,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and I've got other stories like that as well. And it's like
Am I
I yeah.
is it that the West Coast is more touristy, less
Yeah,
that way than like Johannesburg is?
I would say Cape Town, I believe, is still relatively safe.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, depending on where you go there, but definitely Joburg. I mean,
Yeah.
all of it is kind of just I don't feel safe there.
So when you said you were there for a month, did you spend the whole month like, fuck, I can take me back to LA?
No, because it was nice to see family. One of the experiences that I got is that my cousin, yeah, sure, we'll go with cousin.
Okay.
My aunt's son, so yeah, my cousin.
Sounds right.
He's a hunter, and he helps out a couple of different farms, cull, and by farm I mean like a massive swath of land. And so I got to visit a whatchamacallit, a rhino farm, which was incredible to see.
Like a actual rhino farm.
An actual rhino farm. They had
Jesus.
12 females, one male. He had just gotten this place set up, and he has like a bunch of like different medical students come so they can learn how to treat rhinos and stuff like that on the place. But no, it was really interesting to visit that. I spent like an entire weekend there. I think the rest of my family just wanted to get rid of me for like a weekend. They were like, "We're gonna be busy over here. Let's just send him off to the rhino farm. Have a good time over there." It was fun though.
That is crazy because
really
because
interesting
I
to
don't
see.
I'm strictly America, like the U.S. and Canada. So it's like
Mhm.
if my family wanted to get rid of me and send me to my grandparents, I'm going to fucking BC. You know what I mean? I'm not
Oh
going that
yeah.
far. It's not difference wise is not that big of a deal. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to that town with all those hippies. It's not like a big South Africa feels like quite the tonal shift from a place
Absolutely.
like Los Angeles. Maybe not specifically
Sure.
Los Angeles, but California and the U.S. as a whole.
Oh, the entire U.S. You can't. It's apples and oranges. You can't
Of
really
course.
equate them.
Yeah, of course, of course. Shit. Okay, so what else have we got? Okay, so hey, we got a big problem we got to address here. You ready?
Hmm.
For hey.
Yes. Yeah. No. You
Jorge.
want the backstory behind the name Jorge versus
Well, okay,
Forge?
hold on.
Okay.
I got a couple questions first. Okay, so
Yeah.
it is, and truly, madly, deeply, totally honestly, you typed it out and you looked at it like Forge. When you created it, that's what it was.
When I created it was Forge.
Aha!
I will step back. When I created it, it was Forge. However, not too long, maybe like I say not too long. I've had the username Forgebots or some variations on it since middle school. Originally, this is a really embarrassing story to tell. Originally, with a friend, we were inspired by like Red versus Blue and
Of
other
course.
machinima like in video games, and we wanted to do that. And so in Halo, which is, obviously you got to use Halo because that's what Red versus Blue uses.
Of course. Yeah.
That's what a bunch of the other machinima like video types use. There's a game mode, I think in Halo 3, maybe Halo Reach, that's called Forge mode, which is where you
Right.
have
Halo 3, I think, is when they came in. Yeah.
yeah, and so it's the customizable like sandbox mode where you can edit
Okay.
everything. And so when you're in Forge mode, you're a little like spherical robot thing. And so that's originally where this where the
It's the
username comes
bot
from.
in the Forge mode. A Forge
Exactly.
bot. Wow. I
Yeah.
did not even consider a Halo reference. That's crazy. I was thinking like a blacksmith thing. The hell?
No, nothing like that. No. I wish. As I've kind of grown up and adapted to the name. I really do like it because, being an electrical engineer and adjacent, I can be like, hey, I do program a little bit of like
Yeah.
small bots, nothing serious, but I forge bots.
You're
Sure,
forging bots.
that
That's
works.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see that. You grew into your username.
exactly.
Okay, so where did
And
forehead come from?
yeah, so back in high school, I was very involved on a Minecraft server. I spent so
Uh-huh.
much of my time there. I like over maybe 2 years there. I probably had 100 days of in-game time spent on that Minecraft server. That was just basically my life in high school. After school, was playing Minecraft with
I have a
friends on
small
that
side
server.
question. How did you
Mhm.
how did your parents allow that?
Um,
Were they busy working?
very
Were they
with great difficulty. No, I mean I wasn't like being absent from school or anything.
right?
My father, a very old-fashioned man, he had a parental control on the internet that would shut the internet off at like 10 p.m. So no, it was I
Yeah.
had until then basically free reign on the internet, do whatever you want, but at that point, internet's cut off, it's bedtime for you.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I had a similar I don't remember if I had a internet cutoff, but I feel like I may
Mhm.
have. I definitely had a
Yeah.
stepdad who was the fucking guy, the fucking guy. That
Yeah.
guy used to be an ass. He looks really fun in the fucking picture, but he used to be a gigantic ass. And he
Mhm.
definitely did similar shit. I don't know if I specifically had an internet cutoff, but I kind of feel
Mhm.
like I might have because I was really addicted to Halo 2. Play a lot
Okay.
of fucking Halo 2. I was involved in the competitive Halo 2 scene. Had a
Nice.
bunch of semi-pro and pro players as friends and acquaintances. I never quite got that fucking good, but I was in the pocket, kind of. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That
for
fucking
sure.
you can see in that please be photo. You can see he's not a friendly guy. Um, but yeah. So so anyway, so Forhe.
Yes. So I'm in this Minecraft server, spending all my time there, and eventually, I think somebody makes the joke and starts calling me Forge instead of Forge, like Jorge, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, that's actually a fantastic joke, and I am the type of guy where if I see that, I will latch onto it. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's just rename myself to Jorge. It's like Jorge. It's
Yeah,
a
and spelled
beautiful
the
little
same.
running
Yeah.
gag. No, yeah, absolutely. And so then I would just kind of run with that. And it's a nice thing to spring on people from time to time. Just keep that in the back pocket.
People will be like, "Oh, hey, Forge, nice to meet you. Good to see you." And then you just say, "No, it's
Yeah,
Forge. That was the
exactly.
old me."
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah. Forgebots was my father. Yeah.
yeah. He used to forge railways,
No, yeah,
railroads. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Okay. What do I have here? What is it? Why did I write this down? What is this in reference to?
What's it? What is it?
Offices.
Offices. That was whatchamacallit. The question in chat is that somebody wanted to know about the office type environment that I work in. I think it was Danny when I was talking about the
Okay.
ties and stuff like that.
Oh,
Uh,
right, right. Okay, okay.
yeah, so that goes back to my work doing electrical adjacent work. I've been in this office for 2 years, and that's really the extent of my experience in offices. But no, it's not like the big formal, hey, you gotta wear a tie and a jacket and look all nice. Like I'll wear like a
Okay.
button up from time to time, and then I'll also just alternate between like polo shirts with
Right.
a fairly okay like jacket that I can pull over it.
So then where did the tie come in? How'd you learn how to tie the tie?
Just from weddings and stuff like that. You have enough of them, you eventually gotta
Right.
learn.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. So that's interesting because I feel like since COVID happened, um, I don't work in
Mhm.
an office environment and I never have worked in an office environment, but I kind of feel like since COVID happened, the the expectation of the etiquette to wear a suit and a tie or
Mhm.
be dressed fancy. There are exceptions, of course, especially the
Oh yeah.
CEOs and the
Yeah, exactly.
there's certain expectations, but I do feel like it kind of. Whoa, how did I type that in, chat? That's crazy. But I feel like the expectation has kind of changed a little bit. I feel like, and I like I said, I don't work there, but I just feel like it would make more sense that people would get more casual and be a little more open because, like, what are we all fucking here for anyway? So we all got to dress up. There's no point. If you work in a cool office and you have decent people around you and a decent boss, good managers or whatever, be like, oh, what is it? You don't have to fucking put a tie on every day. You out of your mind? What is this, 1997?
No, yeah, absolutely. No. To build off of that, I think there was a lot of pressure. Like if you're meeting with like clients, so you need to look like important like that. But I feel like a lot of that is just transferred over to like Zoom calls at this point. Is that there are so many things that would have been like done in person that are now just like, hey, let's just set up a Zoom call real quick. And I feel like there's less pressure to be dressed up just all the time.
Well, duh, because all you're doing is this. Like you said, you've got pajama bottoms on, right?
No, absolutely. Right. No, I've got lovely plaid pajama bottoms. Don't match at all with the rest of my outfit. I think they've actually got a hole in them as well. So I would show them off, but might be a bit indecent.
Yeah, see, I knew that wearing the pants that I knew that you guys wouldn't see them unless I specifically showed it off or if I walk back there or something. But I kind of felt like I wouldn't have the persona without the pants. You know what I mean? I wouldn't feel official. Sure, yeah. But you probably have a little bit more practice than I do in an outfit like this, right? So you're like, you know what?
I don't know about that.
I'll be in the Zoom call with the button up and the pajama bottoms. No problem.
No, yeah, absolutely. You're only looking like this far up. It doesn't matter what's going on before or below there.
Maybe I'll take my pants off now and go turn the light on in the other room or something. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay. So Forge. Forge. We're gonna wrap this up pretty soon. Hope you're cool with that. Do you have any questions? Before we get on to the last thing I want to cover is going to be the charity. I feel like because I wasn't around last year, I don't really know what's going on. It'd be cool to kind of hear you explain the whole thing. But before you do, you got any questions? Any other stuff you want to talk about? Anything you had in mind to bring up?
I don't. But if chat has any questions that they'd like for me to,
that's a good call
to check in on, I'd happily go ahead and take some suggestions from there. I think we covered a lot of good stuff. I think this went well, dude.
I think
you did an awesome job.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. No way.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot. Okay, so we did kind of cover what your folks do, which is a big part of what I wanted to do. So we got that done. We know what you do. We know where you live. I mean, there's could be bounty hunters on the way right now, you know?
To that, I'll say I've given out more information in the past to people who hate me more than you all do. So, at this point, my worst enemies already have that information. It doesn't help to go ahead and doesn't hurt, to give out that information. I kind of felt the same way.
Is that like in the first, like I started streaming again last September, right? Are we gonna get Callie? Are we gonna see Callie?
Maybe. Callie, come girl, come on. She's struggling to find a way up. Come girl, come on. Come Callie.
Come on, Callie.
Hey.
Oh shit.
Hey.
There it is.
There she is.
There we go.
A little bit difficult to see her, I imagine, but there she is, looking beautiful.
Dr. Poison also has a cat named Callie. But it's more like, dude, isn't it more like Kahlua? Callie? Kahlua?
Put your butt down.
What the fuck was I going to say? I forgot.
Great question. You were talking, I was talking about doxing people,
Oh, yeah, okay. So what I was going to say was, when I first started streaming again, because, after I did that streaming for like 8 months, where I just did it like nearly 40 hours a week, I wanted to kill myself by the end. I never wanted to think about streaming ever again when I stopped. Took about a 1.5 year break. And I was actually inspired by Duck Bavis. Well, it was partially Deadening, my friend Deadening, Dane, who's a real life friend of mine. He started streaming Geo kind of randomly doing chat guesser. And I would hang out in there, and then he would raid Duck Bavis, and that's when I got hanging out with Duck Bavis and those streams. So it's kind of inspired to start streaming again then. And that was about last September when I started doing it. And I remember, because I had the same ethos of like, okay, I could stream all fucking day and night, and I'm going to have 7 fucking people in here. So I didn't really care about talking about where I was from specifically. Not like my home, but the city I live in and stuff, right? I didn't care.
Oh
I
yeah.
just bring it up all the time. One time I even ordered pizza and I asked everybody, "Does this look like good food?" And I dragged the fucking pizza order onto the screen. It had my address on there.
Just full address
I was like, I didn't
blasting.
even think about it. And fucking, I think it was walkout. Was like, dude, what are you doing? So, but even still, when I started streaming Geo, I'd get whatever 10, 12 people on average in the earlier
Mhm.
days. It wasn't a big deal. But as it accelerated, and after I started averaging 20s and maybe even 30s from time to time, I started thinking like, I can't do this. I got like, there's gonna be people who are around, and
Mhm.
I'm not that mean of a guy, but I'll happily just be like, get the fuck out of here, dumbass, because like it's just kind of part of who I am in the right. So I had to start hiding it at some point because I started thinking like, okay, probably nobody's gonna hate me, but I got to make sure that it's not like super common knowledge, just like where I live. I've talked about I've talked about businesses that are around me, and I've realized that
Mhm.
if you knew what city I live in, you could just look at the fucking business and you would be able to pinpoint my house because we're playing fucking GeoGuessr. For Christ's
No,
sakes, you
yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like we're people who look at maps, so it's kind of a bad idea, a bad game to just be carefree about. I don't care if anybody knows. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. You said that you took a break and then you came back. When did you come back
Uh,
to Geo?
would have been
When
last
was the break?
September. I took a break, so
Last September.
I stopped. So I started streaming, like I said, in June, July. I think it was August when I
Mhm.
bought my PC, and then when I bought my PC, I pretty much just went full. I went ham because I thought people were going to think I was really, really funny, and I still think that. And it doesn't. It never seems to pan out. I don't know what the hell's going on. Um, but yeah, so I did that from about August until like February, March,
Mhm.
maybe early April of 2021. And after going so hard for so long, I didn't give myself breaks. I was like, surely if I just keep doing 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, people are going to show
Mhm.
up eventually. You know what I mean? And
And eventually nothing happened.
eventually nothing happened. Didn't work. But like I said before, it's because I didn't there was a whole thing of networking. There was a whole thing of like trying to get to know people in other streams
Mhm.
before I started streaming. Like I said about the whole Duck Babies thing, I think that like hanging out in there and chatting for 4 months or something in 2022
Mhm.
before I finally decided to start streaming, at least there were people around that saw me and knew who I was kind of.
Mhm.
So it would already draw a
Oh,
couple more
yeah.
people than anything I had ever done before where
Mhm.
I just like did this and hoped that people would come in droves and
Mhm.
be entertained. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for
Didn't
sure.
fucking
No,
happen.
I'll say that much. Going ahead and getting yourself connected to lots of people, it does help, and would highly recommend if there's one thing that people learn how to do, it should be to learn how to get connections and all
Yeah.
that good stuff, because
Yeah.
that'll help you so much in life.
Yeah, and I think too it comes so much across like if you look at someone for some first person to come to my mind is like Pando or something doing the Super Mario
Mm-hmm.
thing. So he's got a foot in the door with Super Mario, got a foot in the door with World of
Mm-hmm.
Warcraft, got a foot in the door with the Geo community, and just kind of bringing people together from all of these things will then kind of at least guarantee you some semblance of like, but if you just turn the fucking thing on and you hope people show up, it's so much harder to get people to just hop on board.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of what happened. Is when I started streaming again last September, it
Mm-hmm.
after approximately a year and a half off, I think I
Mm-hmm.
did maybe 5 streams in that year and a half, and then all of a sudden it's been like super rewarding and super fulfilling, and like it's cool to have people come and hang out, and it feels nice. It's
Yo,
trippy in a way.
I, I gotta say, of all of the geo streamers, you are definitely one of my favorites here, Murph. You put on a very classy show.
Oh, thank you, man. That's too kind of you.
I
That's too kind.
mean, just
Um,
just telling you the truth.
I do appreciate that. I try really hard to just make sure that people are having fun. I don't, all the rest of the shit, I don't really care that much. I wish I could be more professional or like be, watch my, watch my words and my attitude and my alcoholism a little better, of course. But generally speaking, uh, yeah, I just love doing it. I just love entertaining people. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
with that said,
Hmm.
you got a charity event coming up. Do you mind explaining to the people and myself as to what the origins of the charity event, if you've been doing this for a while, or how long,
Mhm.
like what exactly we have in the coming months.
Yeah, so let's go into the origins of why I kind of originally started this. So way back when I was streaming back in 2019, must have been the December of 2019, I decided, hey, let's do this kind of holiday event on my stream where we raise some money for Canine Companions for Independence, which is an awesome charity
So sorry, say that
that
again. I think your mic kind of cut out.
uh, for Canine Companions for Independence, which is awesome charity, raises dogs to help people with disabilities. So everything
Awesome.
from like singing
Awesome.
dogs to emotional companions. And so I think we raised like $200, which I was super happy with. Just various, over the month things.
Hmm.
And then, well, I took off from streaming in middle of 2020. I still did like these small little fundraisers in the communities that I was still in around the December time because that feels nice and good. And so I returned to the Geo community in early 2022. I joined like right when the Russian-Ukrainian war was beginning. I just re-entered the Geo community then. I
Hmm.
was like, hey, eventually December was coming by, and I was like, hey, I'd like to run an event in the community. I love running events in communities online, something I've been doing for a while, pretty much
Yeah.
since my teenage years. And so I got in contact with Stone Team,
Right.
who
Okay.
was big streaming back
You get
then.
a shout out to Stone Team real quick, please.
Yeah, if he ever streams again, he should eventually. He'll be back, I believe. You get like one stream every like 6 months.
I
It's
think
a
the
good
only
time.
time that I ever tuned into a Stone Team stream, which is a Stone Team, say that 5 times, was he was doing a charity event. Actually, I think it was for
Mhm.
his baseball team that he had. Like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That was I think
No,
the
yeah,
only
for
time I ever
track and
saw him
field.
streaming.
No, yeah, that's fair. But together we were talking about that, and then I know that Maggie must have been in Stone Team stream because Maggie was also interested, along with like Brad Hamilton and a few other people. And so we
Right.
put together a modest event there. Took place over that weekend, and I was blown away by the support.
And
Blown
when was
away
this?
by the
Was
creators who
this would have been
joined on it.
shortly after you started back into the Geo community, middle of
Ah, that
2022.
that that probably would have been that must have been December of 2022.
Okay.
So
Okay.
pretty much the same thing that we're doing this year here, but last year with the stream relay with the tournaments, and I thought it went fairly well. And a lot of people were saying, "Hey, we're interested in doing this again. Are you going to do this
It's a
again?"
great idea.
Ah,
Yeah.
we'll look into it. We'll look into it. And hey, there was still support this year, so I decided, hey, let's go ahead and do this. Let's give myself more time to prepare. I think last time we had like maybe a month that we were preparing. This time we
Yeah.
prepared for, I've
Well,
been
it was probably a
on
month
your
ago you
balls
gave
since
me a shout,
September.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's still, that's 3 months out. So 3 4 months
No,
out.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's perfect.
Yeah. So we've been working on this for a while, and it's incredible to get the chance to do this with the GeoGuessr community. For the guys who aren't familiar, we're going to be doing a big live stream relay. Murphspree is going to be part of it. I know that Toro was in here earlier, so was Lefty and Duck. They'll all be part of it. Sloov is one of the organizers. It should be like a really good time. You can go to the link that's in chat. It's guessandgive.com. Very happy that we got there. There's a
And
ton of
so,
information
so
there.
basically, it's going to be. Is it 3 hour chunks for basically everyone?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we have maybe like 4 2-hour slots, and that's
Okay.
just because we have the TGS tournaments, which we have 5 hour slots dedicated to those.
Right. Right.
So that kind of offsets everything else a bit.
Right. Well, hell yeah. And so you basically just you pass it off. So let's say Toro starts it, it gets passed to Duck. That group gets raids over to Vay raids me, et cetera, et cetera. Right. We just kind of go. And this
Uh,
goes on for the month.
no, so this is going to go from Thursday to Monday.
Okay. So this is
So
I swear when I looked at the schedule, you had the whole month of December. Am I crazy?
you must be crazy, there, my dude. this guy out here wants us to do a non-stop
That's what I thought it
stream
was.
relay for the entire month. I wouldn't be able to survive. I don't know how I'm going to survive the upcoming in December. I'm going to sleep like 3 hours over the course of, 5 days.
I thought, look,
Something
okay,
like that.
but how many of us are there? Streamer-wise, you got like 15, 20 streamers?
I think we have room for 34 slots.
Wow.
So right now we don't have the full lineup right now. There are still going to be other streamers to be announced who will be joining on to the event. We just need to make sure that everybody who is currently signed up gets into their schedule, so we know, hey, these are the time slots that are available. We need more people from Oz time slots or something like that. And all the money, by the way, that we're raising. So we're going to raise to a total fund, and then for everybody who signs up for one of the charity events, we're running a co-op GeoGuessr race. We're running 2 tournaments hosted by the Geo Special.
Nice.
Big thanks to them. Brad Hamilton is going to be doing a Jeopardy event.
Oh,
and we're
fun.
also currently in talks with another group to maybe get another event going. Excited, but don't want to announce anything prematurely. But I think that'll be exciting to look out for.
So I've been practicing. I've been picking my guitar up for 4 hours a day. I've been playing aggressive. I've been writing songs. I've been making sure that I've got a 3-hour-long performance for you guys when the time comes. Trust me. Believe you me, the days of Geo Murph, it's over. I'm going to be a guitar playing, sing-songing kind of a guy from here on out.
Well, I do appreciate that. I believe everybody in the stream relay will be playing some form of GeoGuessr.
I'll put a video on in the background.
Just have chat guesser going, but it's only one round, and it's just get your guesses in. At the end of the 3 hours, we'll close and we'll send it. But everybody who signs up a team for one of those competitive events is going to select a charity, and the money that we raise is going to be split amongst all charities. So regardless of whether or not you win at your competitive event, just by signing up, you're going to be raising money for a cause that you support.
Awesome.
I think that's
huge.
A nice way to do it.
That's massive. Well, thank you very much for being here, Forge. I feel like we covered most of the bases here.
Thank you for having me, and I cannot wait for the other interviews, because this, I think, went well. It'll be nice to be in the chat and not up here in a sweaty suits going on.
Yeah, with a nice, comfortable pair of pants as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not all sweaty, but yeah, it's definitely pretty sweaty. I'm excited to get out of this.
No, for sure.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you so much.
Let's get a little shout out for Forge just one more time for anybody who might not follow Forge. Really appreciate it, dude. It's very nice to actually talk to you.
For sure.
So, yeah, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.